Hey, what's up guys, I'm Xteria, and in this video, we're going to be talking about all the meta comps that you can currently play in patch 14.4. For those of you that know how this works, basically, I'll give you guys a PowerPoint slide, and you can click on whatever, just click on the image, and it will lead you to a direct slide. So with that said, let's talk about the meta tier list. Essentially, the left side is you can play from any spot, meaning you don't really need any specific augments or items to play it. Compared to conditionals, you need those things to play the comp. If you don't know how to play the early game, I made this little thing, which is on the next slide. It's the item direction you want to build. Most comps build blue buff, Shojin, Quinsu's Rageblade, and then there's some minor ones that use Edge of Knights. And the best openers for those item holders would be like Morgana, Veigar, Zyra, Seraphine, Jhin, Kog'Maw, TF, and then for the Edge of Knight holders, it'll be Shaco or Naafiri. And there's also augment direction, meaning this would lock you into a comp. You could just force it because of these augments. And as you can see here too, I actually lined it up to what items actually go well with the units. Like for example, Blue buff is really good with Morgana, or Shojin is really good with Seraphine. And then for the emblem direction, you just click on the emblems, and you can see the different emblems we could play in the current meta, and it will lead you to a certain comp. Like for example, Anima Squad crest, we click on it, we go to the Anima Squad slide, which I would not explain in this video because Anima Squad is very easy to play. But yeah, going back to it though, there's hero augment slide as well. We just click on the link and you see the different tier lists. A tier we got Gragas and Poppy, and then for B tier we got Rost, Vi, and Silas. Honestly, all these comps are really easy to play. There's no point for me to explain any of them in this video. So if you want to look it up, just click on the PowerPoint slide and look at it yourself. But yeah, the reason why I don't want to explain every comp because I don't want this video to be 20 minutes long. Unless you guys want me to explain every single comp, then I'll be down to do it for next patch. Just let me know in the comment section down below. And if the majority of you wants me to do it, I will do it. That video would probably might be like an hour long. And then to talk about the tier list stuff, B tier doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. It just means that you need to high roll it in order to make it to a first place. And then A tier is like, it's always a solid top 4 comp. And then S tier comp, it means that it's kind of guaranteed top 2 if you 2-star everything. With that being said, we're gonna go from the can play from any spot in the S tier section, which is Street Demon, Brand. All of us know how to play this comp, so there's no point for me to explain that. But the one next to it would be Urgot direction, meaning that there's 2 different ways of playing him. So there's A, playing from a 6 Boombot direction, or B, playing it from a legendary board perspective, which is mostly just bruisers. But we're first gonna be talking about is the Boombot direction. And to play this board, you need to have the Boombot emblem. If you don't, you cannot play this specific style of Urgot. Essentially, it's just for bruiser with Cho'Gath as your main tank, and then the other bruisers such as Kubuko, Gragas, and Mordekaiser. Since Mordekaiser also gives you Techie for Fiddlesticks, this is actually really good synergies. And then you just throw in +2 other Boombot unit like Skarner and Kog'Maw, so you can have 6 Boombot, throw the emblem on Vex, so you can get the Executioner with Urgot. In order to play this board, you need to play this from a win streaks perspective. If you don't, you cannot hit fast 9 and then roll for an Urgot. Unless you high roll him at level 8 somehow, then that's actually really great. Other augments that would be really good for this comp would be like the Boombot augments such as Hunter Killing Missile, or even Boombot Crest is very good for this board. If you can gain artifacts such as Sniper's Focus or Gold Collector, is very powerful for Urgot, and I forgot to make it for this slide because I was lazy. But Anima Visage on Cho'Gath is very good. The best opener you can do is a Kog'Maw opener, and you put like Rageblade on him so you can win streak with him. And Skarner is very powerful tank for Kog'Maw because you get that Boombot active, and it just fill in the synergies with their represented units such as Kindred for Rapid Fire, or even Vi for Vanguards. The main thing I need to talk about here is the augments, and the main things you want to take is Econ, so you can hit fast 8 or 9, and then 2 combat augments, so you can have a lot of power on your board. You can get away with maybe just 1 combat augment, and then 1 item augment, but if you don't have at least 1 combat augment, this board's gonna be so weak, you're probably gonna get the fastest 8th of your life. Now for the other version of Urgot, which is just the base board, you have to fast 9, and then play for all bruisers. Main reason why is because Cho'Gath is gonna be basically unkillable if you have 6 bruisers on the board. And then the other units you would use is Vex and Garen. For Garen modifiers, put bruiser modifier on Urgot, and if you get Boombot modifier, throw it on Vex. The playstyle is the same. You want to play from a win streaks perspective. The augments is also the same. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask, what happens if I cannot succeed to play this comp? What is the other comps I can play? Well, the other comps you can play besides Urgot is probably an Aphelios board, or you can do like a Zeri board if you have to. If not, just pray and hopefully you can hit this board and get a top 4. I probably should have said this earlier, but yes, Brand is still good even after the nerfs. The other comp next to Urgot will be like Aphelios, and there's no need to explain that because it's pretty simple. All of us know how to play Marksman Vanguard. I'm gonna briefly go over Cypher for Draven, mainly because it's just the amount of stacks basically. How you play this board is you want to play from a loose streaks perspective, so this means that you want to play with the Cypher opener, which is all these units down here, or what you can do is you can win streak at least for stage 2-1, 2-2, and 2-3, and then find a Cypher unit on Carousel, and then you want to lose the next 2 rounds afterwards, because after creep round, if you lose with Cypher pivot, then you can just start loose streaking from there, and you'll get more stacks that way. If you want to win out with Cypher into a Draven board, you have to have at least 700 stacks to win the game at least, but in general, the amount of stacks you want to look for is around 400 to 500 stacks in order to play the Draven board. If you don't have more than 400 stacks, then you're gonna have to pivot into either a Vex board or an Annie board or something like that. But yeah, that's basically about it for Draven of the Cypher style. Now for the conditional style, which is the Veigar, and the only thing I need to talk about here is in order to play this comp, you need either the augment New High Score or you get an artifact which is Mana Zane. Those are the only two reasons why you want to play this board. If you don't have any of those, you're not gonna really win the game. So if you see any of these augments, you can force Veigar and just get guaranteed top 4 because those augments are just that powerful. Next to that is gonna be the Naafiri board, and I will make a comp guide video for this soon. But essentially, in order to play this board, you need the direction of either a Hyperfangs or Pulse Stabilizer, which is the best items that you could put on Naafiri. Or if you get any of the artifacts, like for example, Spectral Cutlass is very powerful on her, or even like Sniper's Focus. And yes, it is actually really powerful on Naafiri. I did just won the game with this item on Naafiri, so ranged Naafiri is also really good. Silver Mirror and Mins are okay artifacts on Naafiri. This board essentially just, you have to play 5 amp. In order to get 5 amp, you're gonna need to hit a Samara at level 8 somehow. If not, you can just fill up with like strategist until you can find a Samara. That's fine. And then the thing to note here is Edge Knight is actually pretty important for Naafiri. As you see here, is like one of her BIS slots. But if you have artifact items, there's kind of no need for Edge Knight. So basically, it's just play around Hodge and IE. Unless you have, for example, Hyperfangs, then you just get rid of Hodge. Or if you have Pulse Stabilizer, get rid of IE. And then yeah, that's basically about it. I forgot to fix this. So when you guys see the slide, this is gonna be fixed. Next to Naafiri, it's gonna be a Fiddlesticks with Bruiser artifact items. I did explain this a lot of times in different videos already, and I feel like most of us probably know how to play it already, so there's no point to explain it. But after that, it'll be Vex. There's 2 different styles of playing Vex, and there is Vexotech, which all of us know how to play already, and I did have a comp guide video on that, so if you want to check that out, it'll be somewhere in my channel with this thumbnail. But the newer version we're going to be talking about here is the Divinity Corp style. The way you want to play this comp is you either A, have a Divinity Corp emblem so you can force this comp, or B, because you can't find any good Exotech items on Varus, you could pivot into this comp as well. And you need a lot of tiers for this board, because you need blue buff and static shiv for Vex. So that means for the playstyle you have to do is a loose streak perspective. You can do loose streak with Cypher Opener, so this means that you can gain a lot of resources and gain a lot of tiers along the way from carousels. And the augment choices you want to do is econ, item, to combat. The best combat augments you can choose on Vex will be any of the lifesteal ones on Vex. It is really OP on her. This is of course over time of me playing, but yeah, loose streak is actually a lot better to do now on Vex, which I finally realized. And there's actually really funny enough artifacts really good on Vex, which is Fish and Bones. Fish and Bones allows you to maybe one-shot the backline, so it's actually pretty interesting interaction with that. And then Lichbane is also really good on Vex because she auto attacks here and there. And Mana Zane just so she can cast Infinite. If for whatever reason you have a blue buff already, you can do this kind of opener where you play with Morgana, Jhin, and then Jax. You can play with either 1+1 Exotech or Bastion like Poppy is fine. Essentially the board is just all the Vinicorps and just throw in an Urgot with your main tank Cho'Gath. Basically about it for this style of Vex. Next up on the list is one of the funny comps yet powerful in the current meta, which is Rapid Fire Renekton. This comp is actually really interesting because we don't need Gwynsu's Rage Blade for this board. Main reason why is because 6 Rapid Fire is actually fast enough to not need that item. In order to play this board, you need a Rapid Fire emblem. If you don't have it, you cannot play 6 Rapid Fire. And the items you will need to look for is a lot of swords because you need Zeri to have IE and Gunblade, and then maybe extra swords on Renekton or Draven. The playstyle you can do on this board could be either Win Streak. If you already have the Rapid Fire emblem, you can start Win Streaking with the Kog'Maw opener, or you can play Loose Streak with Cypher. Either one is fine because you gain a lot of resources with Cypher for loose streaking. And the augments you want is emblem with 2 combat augments. You may notice later down the line that as you're looking at these slides, a lot of AD comps need a lot of combat augments. And the reason why is because AP could just nuke you while AD has to ramp up to do damage. So therefore, having more combat augments will help that out a lot. But yeah, that's basically about it though for the Rapid Fire Renekton board. For the A tier comps, we got is Twisted Fate, which all of us know how to play. Same with Anima Squad. A new one that came back to the current meta would be A.M.P. And A.M.P is actually pretty interesting because there's 2 different ways of playing it. You can play either Yuumi as the main carry or you can play Annie as the main carry. The first one we're going to be talking about is Yuumi. And to play her is essentially you just play at level 6 or 7 and then reroll for all these units you see here. Essentially it's just 5 strategists and 5 amp. And the direction that you want this board to have is to have a lot of tiers so you can get blue buff and then maybe a static shiv so Yuumi can do extra damage. The reason why you want to play this board is because maybe you don't have any good items on the Fury, or you're just win streaking pretty hard with Morgana opener, or maybe you got Yuumi on drop and you're just win streaking with that too. Those are like the main reasons why you would want to play Yuumi as the main carry. Or you could play loose streak with Cypher and and then pivot into a Yuumi reroll after your cash out. Either one is fine. To summarize it all, you're basically playing Yuumi just cause you cannot play Naafiri. That's basically about it. The next version we're gonna be talking about here is A.M.P, and the direction you want to play this board is with a lot of tiers because you need blue buff or children for Annie. You can build her many different ways with itemization wise. As long as you have one mana item, it's fine. The best way to build her would be 2 mana items like Shojin and blue buff, or you can do double Shojin. Either one is fine. But if you cannot build a second mana item, it's fine to do like 1 Shojin with Nashor's Tooth and then plus an Archangel Staff. That's okay. But the playstyle you're gonna be looking for this board is a loose streak with Cypher because you need a lot of resources and you need a lot of money to somehow hit the Samara at level 8, because if you don't hit Samara at level 8, this board is doomed. So hopefully you're either A, strong enough to hit level 9 without Samara, or B, you gotta keep rolling until you find Samara to hit fast 9. So that's the reason why we're gonna need, for augments, we need Econ and then 2 combat. Your main tank on this board is gonna be a Nico, and look for powerful tank items for her so your board can last long enough. Other than that, it's pretty squishy, this board. The reason why this board is like basically pseudo tanky is because you're putting a lot of strategists on the board, which gives you a lot of durability. So make Naafiri, Nidalee, and Echo last long enough so your Annie could throw out Tibbers, and hopefully Annie just kills everything. In order to win with this board, you do need a Samara too, sadly, so this board is actually pretty expensive. But for the most part, if you want to simplify everything I just said, just look for 5 strategists, 5 AMP. You need to hit Samara level 8. If you don't, it's doomed. On to the next comp would be Nitro, because they actually buffed it this patch. And there's a lot to take in for this board, because you need to 3-star basically all the Nitro units. So your Nitro T-Hex can be very powerful, and your main carries determine on your Exotech item. If you have Pulse Stabilizer or Hyper Fangs, then you can play Jin carry. If not, then you can play for Elise carry, which is going to be kind of difficult because you have to somehow 3-star an Elise at level 6 somehow, because you have to 3-star Nidalee, Kindred, and Shyvana. And then as you level up, you just throw in more Dynamo units. So for level 8, you throw out Aurora, and at level 9, just throw out Morgana. So you have 4 Dynamo. Jin and Elise can cast infinitely. You can play them both as the main carries as well. It's just whichever one you want to start with first, it determines on your Exotech items. If you have a tank one, that's okay. Just throw it on your Sejuani or your Jax 3 if you want to do Jax instead. And just put IE instead of Pulse Stabilizer on Jin. Both of these units can use the artifacts such as Sniper's Focus or Mana Zane. If you don't have Pulse Stabilizer, you can do Collector. And look for the augments like Polished Chrome or Spare Parts. They're really powerful for this Nitro board. Other than that, just have a Nitro opener and have a Jin, and that's basically about it. For the conditional side of the A tier comps, we got is Shaco reroll. I feel like most of us know how to play it, so I don't need to explain it. But this one I do need to explain a little bit, which is the Zeri Exotech style, and the secondary carry with Zeri is, surprisingly enough, you play with Syndicate, which is MF. This board is actually pretty simple itself too. It's just to have double Gwynsu's Rage Blade on Zeri, or just have a Gwynsu's Rage Blade +1. It doesn't really matter. But the items you really need to look for is Flux Capacitator or Pulse Stabilizer on Zeri. That's like the only way to play this board. If you don't have those items, then you might as well just pivot into an Aphelios board or even an Urgot board. Speaking of Urgot, you could maybe even play the Zeri with 6 Bruiser and then fast 9 with that, and then play Urgot afterwards. That also works too. Other than that, the only thing to mainly talk about is playstyles. You can do Win Streak with this opener, or you can do the Kog'Maw opener. Either one's fine. If not, you can do maybe Loose Streak with Cypher. Either one's good. And then level 9, you start an Aurora. Basically about it for this board. Next up on the list is Golden Ox, and Golden Ox is actually kind of complicated to play, not gonna lie. Essentially, it's just get an emblem, and you have to play from a Win Streak perspective. So you play with Graves and Alistair, and then Graves will have the Aphelios items, or if you have AP items for whatever reason, then just play with any AP unit you can find, like maybe Morgana or something with Alistair. Surprisingly, that is like probably like one of the best openers at the moment. And then try to win as hard as you can, because you're going to be start losing at stage 4 for a little bit since you're trying to roll for your board. And then once you 2-star everything you see here besides Veigar, then you want to fast 9 and then look for a +1 value unit such as Samara 2, or you could look for a Zac 2 as your main tank. Just transfer the items from Leona to Zac, and then maybe get rid of Leona for like a better level 2 legendary like Garen or even Kubuko. Anything like that is fine. Essentially, you just want to hopefully just somehow win with Golden Ox emblem. That's basically about it for this board. If you can't win streak with this, or if you don't know how to play it, just skip this, because this board is actually really hard to play. Now, the last comp I'm going to be talking about here is the Mundo board, because it's kind of newer for this patch. It was actually up and coming from last patch, but now we know how to play it in this patch. The rest of the units, the rest of the comps is pretty easy to play, like MF Dynamo, we all know that. Same with the Rengar board, and then the hero augments such as Rost, Vi, and Silas. They're all basically the same board. So getting into it for Mundo, basically what you want to do is you want to high roll the board, meaning you need to start with 2-star Mundo and then either 2-star Seraphine or 2-star Zyra. If you have the augment 1 for all, this board is super powerful. Essentially, it's just 3-star Mundo, Zyra, Alistair, and Seraphine, and then level up as fast as you can to throw out as much techies as you can with other bruisers such as Mordekaiser, +1 bruiser like Kubuko or whatever you can find at the time. And that's basically about it for this board. It's actually pretty simple. All it comes down to for this board is just luck. If you could just 3-star everything, then you're good to go. Oh, for itemization, I forgot about this too to talk about real quick. You want to look for Mundo items first, and then whatever AP items you can find later for Zyra as the main carry. Main reason why is because when you throw a brand, then you have 3 Street Demon, and then you can cap Zyra with that damage from Street Demon. And then Seraphine could just hold on to whatever AP items you can find, like maybe anti-heal items such as Red Buff or Millicon. And then Static Shift, she's really good with that item to hold on to. But yeah, that's basically about it for this board. And that is it for basically about the meta comps and patch 14.4. If you have any questions about any of the comps, I'll try to answer to the best of my capabilities. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.